The LA Kings are set for game 2 of the preseason, and we'll get our first look at some new faces. That and more on this edition of Locked On LA Kings.
You are Locked On Kings, your daily podcast on the Los Angeles Kings. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, Kings fans, welcome to Locked On LA Kings, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for making Locked On LA Kings your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. We'd love for you to leave us a positive comment on Apple Podcasts if you're a fan of the show. And we are on YouTube. Please like and subscribe if you're enjoying this content. I'm Eddie Garcia, your host of Locked On LA Kings. I've worked in sports media for the past 30 years, 20 plus years at the Fox Sports Radio Network. I'm also co-host of the Puck Podcast, a weekly NHL review show that's been putting out content for the past 18 years, and a passionate LA Kings fan for over 30 years. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Place your first $5 bet and you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's FanDuel.com to get started. Well, the countdown to the NHL season continues. The LA Kings season opener is October 10th in Buffalo against the Sabres, 15 days away. The Kings home opener is October 24th against the San Jose Sharks, 29 days away. And tonight it's game 2 of the preseason for the Kings as they are in Las Vegas to take on the Golden Knights. And we will see a much more veteran lineup for the game tonight, but we will also see some new faces as well. So let's get right into what we're going to see tonight and those new faces, and we start with new goaltender Darcy Kuemper. You've got forwards Warren Foegele and Tanner Jeannot in the lineup. More familiar Kings veterans also going to be a part of tonight's preseason game. Kevin Fiala, Trevor Moore, younger veterans like Quinton Byfield and Alex Laferriere. And you've also got some young guys like Alex Turcotte, Andre Lee, Tyler Madden, Atu Yemsen, and Glenn Gaudin. On defense, for the Kings, 6 regulars will be on the trip to Vegas, including Drew Doughty and Mikey Anderson, Vladislav Gavrikov, and Jordan Spence. And joining them will be Kyle Burroughs and Jared Woolley. Carter George will also be joining Darcy Kuemper as the goalie tandem. As far as the potential line pairings and lines for this game tonight, again, much more veteran group than we saw in the opening preseason game in Utah. Now, the top 2 lines we think we know, but what order will they be in? I've gone on record as saying I would like to see Quinton Byfield start the season as the second-line center and Phillip Danault as the third-line center. But it appears everything I've been hearing is that will not be the case, that it'll actually be Danault as the second-line center and Byfield as the third-line center. Of course, this is all subject to change. But if what I'm hearing is true, expect tonight's top line to be centered by Phillip Danault, with Tanner Jeannot and Trevor Moore on the wings. The second line would be centered by Quinton Byfield with Kevin Fiala and Warren Foegele. Third line centered by Alex Turcotte. He'll be joined by Alex Laferriere and Andre Lee. And the fourth line could be centered by Tyler Madden with Glenn Gaudin and Atu Yemsen as the wingers. The defensive pairings, again, no surprise, Drew Doughty and Mikey Anderson, your top pairing, just like we'll see in the regular season. Expecting Vladislav Gavrikov and Jordan Spence to be the second pairing. We're also expecting that to be the case for the regular season. And Kyle Burroughs and Jared Woolley will be on the third pairing. Again, Darcy Kuemper should start in net with Carter George as the backup. So for the Kings, taking on a Vegas Golden Knights team that, as far as their projected lineup, not as many NHL regulars as we're going to see for the LA Kings. Now, the top line for Vegas tonight expected to be centered by former Shark and last season's pickup for the Golden Knights, Tomas Hertl, who you should be familiar with. How about former King Tanner Pearson? He'll be playing for Vegas. He's in camp on a tryout with that team. We'll also have some familiar forwards like Pavel Daraforov and Zach Austin Reese. The Golden Knights, though, playing a lot of younger forwards in this matchup tonight against the Golden Knights. This, at least according to what we saw or what was being reported as far as the lineup they put out there for their morning skate, which is usually a very close indicator of what we're going to see in the game. As far as the defense for the Golden Knights, completely different, as they're going to have pretty much their full NHL complement of defensemen. You've got Alex Pietrangelo and Shea Theodore, Noah Hannafin, former King Braden McNabb, and Zach Whitecloud. Those are all regular NHL defensemen for the Vegas Golden Knights. They'll be playing on opening night. So a mixed bag for Vegas tonight. Young group of forwards, very veteran group of defensemen. In net, they will have a veteran as well, although it is a newcomer to the Vegas Golden Knights, and that is Ilya Samsonov, formerly of the Toronto Maple Leafs. As for Vegas's record, they have played one preseason game as well, just like the Kings. They did win that game. That was on Sunday in San Jose. They beat the Sharks 4-2. In that game, also not many NHL regulars for the Vegas Golden Knights. So a lot of their top NHL, at least forwards, have not seen a lot of playing time so far this preseason, and that again will be the case tonight for Vegas. So a bit of a different flip of the script, if you will, for the LA Kings in their second preseason game as opposed to their first preseason game. We talked about this on Monday's show. The Utah Hockey Club was playing their first ever home preseason game. They put out a veteran lineup in that game because they wanted to put a good showing for the fans. They wanted to win the game, kind of kickstarting that franchise in a new market. The LA Kings did not have a lot of NHL regulars. It was more of an AHL type of team. Tonight, kind of flip it around a little bit, much more NHL caliber roster for the LA Kings as opposed to Vegas, who's playing a lot of young forwards. They do have a lot of defensemen that are NHL caliber, but this time the shoe's on the other foot a bit for the LA Kings. And so that should also shift the expectations for tonight's game. Again, with the Kings being more of a veteran lineup, having more NHL regulars in the lineup tonight than their counterparts in Vegas, expect the expectations to be higher. Expect to have a higher level of performance from the LA Kings. Expect them to play better, score more goals. We'll get more into what we expect to see from the LA Kings from a team standpoint coming up. But up next, who should we be focusing on individually for the LA Kings tonight? There are a lot of choices. We'll get into it next here on Locked On LA Kings, your team every day. Hey, NFL fans, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So when you get a hunch in the middle of a game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. And of course, FanDuel is there for you all season long to bet on all kinds of sports. You've got Major League Baseball, regular season winding down. The postseason is going to get ready to go, including our LA Dodgers. College football's in full swing, USC, UCLA, and of course, the NHL season is going to be here before you know it. You can even bet on the preseason game tonight with the LA Kings taking on the Vegas Golden Knights. FanDuel has the Kings favored by 1.5 goals in tonight's game. Join FanDuel, browse the latest betting odds of your favorite sports and teams on their sportsbook app, and get in on the action. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. So we have a lot of players to keep an eye on in tonight's preseason game number 2 for the LA Kings. And obviously, we want to see the new guys. And in particular, I think it starts with goaltender Darcy Kuemper. Have the Kings once again found a reliable veteran that can get the job done in net, as they have last season with Cam Talbot? Like Kuemper, Talbot was coming off a bad season before he joined the Kings, did not have a good year in Ottawa, came to LA, and behind a more structured and responsible defensive team, turned his numbers around and had a very, very solid NHL season, a season that saw him be an NHL All-Star for his first half of the season. So can Darcy Kuemper do the same thing, turn things around in a new place that he's very familiar with? Now, Kuemper, if you're not familiar with him, did win the Stanley Cup as the #1 goalie for the Colorado Avalanche 3 seasons ago, but he is coming off 2 subpar years in Washington. He lost his starting job a year ago for the Capitals, posted a record of 13, 14, and 3, a 3.31 goals against average, and an .890 save percentage. Clearly, those numbers need to be much better with the LA Kings, where Kuemper did have success in a stint with the Kings a few years ago. When he was with LA the first time around, he was 10-1-3, 2.10 goals against average, and a .932 save percentage. Okay, that was 7 years ago. But Kuemper apparently excited about being back in Los Angeles, feeling comfortable, rejuvenated, hopefully, as he's getting a shot to be a #1 goaltender once again after his disappointing year in Washington a year ago. And quite frankly, Darcy Kemper facing this caliber of forward groups for the Vegas Golden Knights, I think legitimately we should expect him to allow 2 or fewer goals tonight, all things being equal. But obviously, a big spotlight on new Kings goalie Darcy Kemper. Also, newcomers to look at tonight. We'll see the LA debuts of forwards Tanner Jeannot and Warren Foegele. Both are expected to bring a new physical, grittier style of play to the team. And this two duo should be leading the way as far as that goes. Matter of fact, these two guys had to be separated in training camp after getting into it. So that's a little taste, little flavor of what we should expect from Tanner Jeannot and Warren Foegele. Different types of players. Jeannot, kind of a big physical forward, 6'2", 200 pounds. He will definitely be throwing the body around and certainly not a guy who is going to shy away from dropping the gloves. Matter of fact, I would not be surprised at all to see Tanner Jeannot get into a scrap tonight against the Vegas Golden Knights. Warren Foegele, not as big physically, but plays a gritty style, likes to go to the net, likes to be a pest around the goaltenders, get some of those dirty goals in those dirty areas. So looking forward to seeing that element being added to the LA Kings this season, specifically from Tanner Jeannot and Warren Foegele. Also going to get our first look at Quinton Byfield at the center position. Also going to be paired up with Kevin Fiala. At least that's the plan going forward for the start of the regular season, that the Kings want those two guys paired up together. We'll see how Q does with that extra responsibility of playing the center position. Obviously, he's going to have to take faceoffs and is expected to do more defensively from that position. Now, again, it is something he has said he's very comfortable doing. It is something that he has done his entire life. Obviously, being as physically gifted as he was and being a bigger player as he was growing up, was able to kind of dominate the competition. Now, obviously, it's still a factor for him, but not as big of a factor. Still has good size, good reach, things that can help him out. But obviously, he's not going to be dominant physically like he was playing at the other levels, which he obviously has learned and adjusted to at the NHL level. But now he has to do it from the center position. Obviously, also looking to see what kind of chemistry does Quinton Byfield have with Kevin Fiala going forward. We've seen that at times Q can be a very dynamic passer, and you've got a guy in Kevin Fiala who can be an elite finisher. So fingers crossed. It seems like on paper that should be a good combination, but of course we need to see it on the ice. Can Quinton Byfield set up Kevin Fiala for some good, solid scoring opportunities in tonight's game? Hopefully we see that, and hopefully we see a couple of pucks go in the net. That would be nice as well. Also looking at Trevor Moore, looking to get his season going after a career year a year ago. Was that a one kind of season wonder for Trevor Moore, as he took a pretty big leap forward with 31 goals that led the team in goals a year ago? Can he follow it up? Can he show that is the type of player that Trevor Moore can be on a consistent basis or not? That remains to be seen. I've said I am optimistic about the type of player Trevor Moore can be and the type of season he can have. I talked about it several times last year. This was not a guy who was getting lucky goals. This was not just one of those seasons where everything he was shooting was going in. He was scoring high quality goals, making elite moves around the net, picking a corner, showing off that above average release. So, but Trevor Moore's he's got to prove it. He can't just be a one hit wonder. He's got to show that he is a legitimate top six forward for the LA Kings, and hopefully he can show us a little bit of that tonight. Also, Alex Laferriere looking to add to his solid rookie season a year ago, where he played in 81 games. Nobody saw that going into last season, but he had some opportunities thanks to injuries, got his opportunity and made the most of it. Finished with 12 goals and 23 points. Certainly looking for him to expand on that this year, especially if he is given the opportunity that we expect he's going to be given. Now, we're not going to see it tonight, but Alex Laferriere, again, expected to be at least given the first shot to replace Quinton Byfield on the top line, on the winger position. He will not be playing, obviously, with Anze Kopitar and Adrian Kempe. They didn't make the trip to Las Vegas tonight, so won't be specifically seeing that. But again, Alex Laferriere getting a huge opportunity this year to expand on what was a very solid rookie season a year ago. So good to see him back in the lineup. As for the defense, Vladislav Gavrikov and Jordan Spence, they'll be partnered up tonight. They're expected to be, at least for the start of the season, partnered up together on that second pairing, a new second pairing with the departure of Matt Roy. So it looks like Jordan Spence, after his first full year in the NHL, getting that promotion, sliding up from the third pairing to the second pairing. And we'll be looking for not only him to build on his rookie numbers, where he had just 2 goals, 24 points, but also looking for, again, chemistry between Gavrikov and Spence as they figure out how to play together this coming season. As for some of the younger players, Alex Turcotte is back in the lineup for a second straight game. Not sure specifically if that is some kind of a reward for what he did in the first game, but I thought he was probably the Kings' best player on the ice in that game against the Utah Hockey Club, had one of the 2 goals for the LA Kings, and really held his own against some top-level NHL competition that he went head up with against the Utah Hockey Club. So I thought Turcotte played very, very well. He's getting right back out there, getting a chance to play a second straight game. Also, Andre Lee is again playing his second straight game. I thought that he also was a player that stood out in that first preseason game against Utah. I liked his physical play. Also had some good scoring chances as well. So a good mix from Andre Lee as far as being physical and also having scoring chances. Now, he didn't get one in the net, but he did have a couple of very good chances. And he's a dark horse guy that, coming off a season a year ago where he was hurt. But I think the Kings like his size. I think they like his mix of physical play along with some offensive ability. And, looking for the extra forward this year for the LA Kings, with Arthur Kaliyev being hurt, Samuel Fogimo not really impressing, at least in that first game. Maybe the door is open a little bit for Andre Lee to get a shot at maybe being that extra forward for the LA Kings this season. Good things in game 1 of the preseason. We'll see if you can follow it up with game number 2. That's what you're looking for at the NHL level, for guys to be consistent in their effort and their what they give you night in and night out. One other younger player to keep an eye on tonight would be Atu Yemsen, forward, who looked really good for the LA Kings in their rookie camp. Now, he's a guy who has played overseas. This year, he's getting his first taste of North American hockey. Thought he looked pretty good again in the rookie camp. He's tried some flashy things in training camp. He tried the Michigan goal or the lacrosse goal. We've heard, so he's obviously has a little bit of flair and flash to his game. But he's going to get a chance to play in this game tonight as well. So certainly keep an eye on him, as he will expect to be a regular for the Ontario Reign this coming season, his first full North American pro season coming up. And one other young player that not a lot of expected of is now, because he's so young, but getting a chance to play tonight, will be defenseman Jared Woolley. Got a little bit better, I thought the first game he played in the rookie faceoff, he looked like a deer in the headlights. But as he got more comfortable, played better as that tournament went along in the 3 games for the LA Kings. And so he's getting a chance tonight. He was drafted in the 6th round this past season for the Kings. So he'll be on the third pairing for the Kings defensively tonight. So a nice opportunity for him to get to play in an NHL caliber type of game for a very, very young player that the Kings hope could turn into, at one point down the road, an NHL caliber player. So we've talked about some of the individuals to watch tonight. As far as a team for the LA Kings, what are we looking for in game 2 of the preseason? We'll talk about that next here on Locked On LA Kings, your team every day. Hey, no matter how the last game went, anytime you take the field, you've got a shot at greatness. Give your team the best chance at winning by recruiting more MVPs with Indeed, because Indeed is the hiring partner where you can attract, interview, and hire all in one place. And Indeed is the only job site where you're guaranteed to find quality applications that meet your must-have requirements, or else you don't pay. Indeed partners with you on every step of the hiring process. Find great talent through time-saving tools like Indeed Instant Match, assessments, and virtual interviews. With Indeed Instant Match, as soon as you sponsor a post, you get a short list of qualified candidates with resumes on Indeed that match your must-have job description, and you can invite them to apply right away. Plus, you only pay for quality applications that meet your must-have requirements. Start hiring right now with a $75 sponsored job credit to upgrade your job post at Indeed.com/lockedon. Go to Indeed.com/lockedon and claim your $75 credit. Indeed.com/lockedon. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed. All right, so once again, the Kings getting ready to play game number 2 of the preseason tonight in Las Vegas against the Golden Knights. And we talked about some of the players to watch. How about what to watch for the Kings as a team? Well, again, with this more veteran lineup for the Kings, I would expect to see them be more offensive. Now, they did put up 2 goals against the Utah Hockey Club in their first preseason game, and they had a decent number of shots with 29, but only really a few high-quality grade A scoring chances in that game. Now you've got guys like Kevin Fiala, Trevor Moore, Quentin Byfield. I'm expecting to see from the group, and in particular led by those guys, more high-quality scoring chances tonight against Vegas. I think we should also be looking for a more physical effort for the Kings as a team on the whole, something we didn't see a lot of in the first preseason game, but it's been talked about a lot as far as what the Kings have offered in the training camp. And again, led by Tanner Jeannot and Warren Fogle, but hopefully the other guys are also contributing to this as well. Andre Lee also is a very physical player. Expect to see those 3 guys kind of leading the way. But again, overall, a more physical presence for the LA Kings as a team. And if that is the case, and it is a preseason game, if you're looking to kind of, really establish that, there's the possibility that you could take some penalties. The Kings did allow 2 power play goals in their first preseason game against Utah. So looking for the penalty kill to be better in that situation with a more veteran group as well. While the Kings against Utah in the first preseason game were very solid 5-on-5, I think given the opportunity, I would expect to see the Kings have a more dangerous power play. The power play, even though the Kings did have a power play goal against Utah, the power play wasn't real dangerous very consistently. Didn't get set up and have a lot of great scoring chances, kind of very basic, which you would expect early in a preseason game. But again, I think with the more veteran group, more firepower on the ice tonight, I think that should be a recipe for a better looking power play if the Kings, in fact, can draw some advantages with the extra man. So looking for that tonight as well. If you're going to be able to try and watch the game, it is a 7 p.m. face-off in Las Vegas. Unfortunately, there is no local TV broadcast of the game for the LA Kings. You can watch it if you have the NHL Network, and I also saw that it is possibly available as well on ESPN Plus if you have that streaming platform as well. Of course, you can listen to the game and an LA Kings radio call on the LA Kings app. So looking forward to seeing what the Kings can do, how they'll be different, and seeing a lot of new faces with some veterans mixed in as well for the LA Kings in preseason game number 2 against Vegas. For you everydayers, those of you that listen and watch Locked On LA Kings every day, coming up on tomorrow, obviously we will recap the Kings game against the Vegas Golden Knights, hopefully have some answers to some of the things that we talked about as far as what to watch and see how the new faces do. And then, of course, on Friday, it is our typical Kings fan feedback show. If you'd like to be a part of that, we'd love to have you participate with an email. LockedOnEddie@gmail.com is the email address, EDDIE. If you're watching on YouTube, we always welcome your comments in the comment section as well. It helps the algorithm. It helps the show be found by hockey fans the more you comment. If you would like to stay interactive with the show on social media, you can follow us on X, Twitter, and Instagram. We are at Locked On LA Kings. I'm Eddie Garcia. Thank you, as always, for listening and watching this episode of Locked On LA Kings, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Have a great rest of your day. And as always, go Kings, go.